Hey there, fellow movie lover, V from Movies Hunter here, and I'm excited to recap a mind-blowing action-adventure sci-fi film from 2022 that'll leave you on the edge of your seat. It's called Moonfall. So the movie opens in January 12, 2011, where we see a group of astronauts led by Commander Joe Fowler. They are at a satellite repair station doing maintenance when Joe's friend right here, called astronaut Brian Harper, notices an unusual swarm of nanotech creatures heading towards them. That's definitely not what you want to see while you're in space. Brian tries to save his friend Alan but is knocked back by the swarm, and unfortunately, Marcus and another astronaut are lost. Brian manages to make it back to Joe's shuttle and fly them both back to Earth, but things go downhill from there. Fast forward 18 months later, and Brian is now disgraced by NASA after his reports of the swarm attacking them are written off as crazy talk. Poor Brian. His friendship with Joe suffers a fallout, and he even ends up divorcing his wife Brenda. She moves to Jersey with her son Sonny, and Brian becomes distant from his father. Talk about a tough break. But wait, the story doesn't end there. 10 years later, we meet Megastructure's Casey Houseman, who sneaks into the University of California to gather information on unusual moon activity. Sounds like he's up to something shady, but we'll let that slide for now. He goes to his regular job at a fast food restaurant where he gets confirmation of strange readings coming from the moon's orbital trajectory, whatever that is. Now, Casey later visits his mother Elaine, who unfortunately suffers from Alzheimer's. Joe is still working at NASA, but she is now a single mom sharing custody of her son Jimmy with her ex-husband, General Douglas Davidson. To make ends meet, Joe even houses a foreign exchange student, Michelle, who helps take care of Jimmy. Meanwhile, strange things are happening on the moon, and Joe is alerted to some unusual activity. At the same time, there's Casey, who pretends to be Brian, a speaker for a museum field trip. When the real Brian shows up, Casey tries to share his findings about the moon getting closer to Earth, but Brian dismisses him and has security escort him out. Before leaving, Casey throws his info at Brian to read. Brian, who is now living alone, receives a call from his ex-wife Brenda, who has remarried and has 2 daughters. She tells Brian that their son Sonny is in trouble with the law and has been arrested. Brian rushes to help his son and tries to bribe the judge to get him out on bail. Unfortunately, the judge postpones the hearing for a week, leaving Sonny to languish in jail. As if that wasn't bad enough, reports start coming in that the moon is going out of orbit. Can you believe it? Like, what else can go wrong, right? So Joe and her colleagues have less than 3 weeks to save the world from flying moon debris the size of cities. That's like playing dodgeball with skyscrapers, but don't worry, because NASA has got this. They're sending a shuttle with 3 brave astronauts to investigate the situation. What could go wrong, right? Famous last words, because it turns out that the astronauts encounter the swarm, which sounds like a cool group of space rebels, but in reality it's a bunch of creepy crawlies that breaks into the shuttle and kill the poor astronauts. Talk about a bad day at work. NASA watches in horror as the footage comes in, and just like that, panic starts to spread around the world. It's like the apocalypse, but in space. But wait, there's more. A tsunami hits California because apparently the universe just loves to throw curveballs. Our hero, Brian, has to save his friend Casey from getting swept away by the water, because what's a little disaster on top of the end of the world, right? Meanwhile, Joe right here is not giving up. She is determined to find out what's causing all this chaos, and boy does she find a clue. She discovers a hole in the moon's crater floor and digs into NASA's archives to find footage from Brian's suit during the first failed mission. Because digging up old stuff always leads to good things, right? And that's when things get even crazier. Joe meets a man named Holdenfield, who works in the archives and has some juicy conspiracy theories about the 1969 moon landing. Because why not throw in some government secrets while we're at it? Joe is now on a mission to save the world from the swarm, but she can't do it alone, and that's where things get interesting. Joe has to gather a crew for her second mission, and she meets Casey and Brian, who are not exactly thrilled to see her after the last mission. Brian is still holding a grudge against Joe, thinking she threw him under the bus, but they have to put their differences aside and, work together to save the world. They learn about an EMP that can destroy the swarm, and they need to get it into space to launch it. Easy, right? Well, not so fast, because before they can set the mission in motion, Brian arranges for Sonny to be released from prison and join Brenda and her family in Tom's cabin in Colorado. Michelle and Jimmy join Brian and Sonny in the drive to Colorado, but things don't go as planned. They get robbed by a group of thieves randomly, and another gravitational shift causes people to be pulled into the air. But Michelle holds onto Jimmy, and they make it to Tom's cabin, with a crazy lady firing at them thinking they are intruders. Meanwhile, the trio make their way to the moon where they encounter the swarm. The crew's plan is to plant a bomb where the swarm can grab it, but they soon discover that the creatures are avoiding anything electronic. Joe realizes that there might be two different entities in the moon, with one of them trying to help them. As they reach the moon's base, Brian has a surreal encounter with the operating system, which takes the form of Sonny as a child. The OS reveals that the swarm is an AI created by ancient humans that has gone rogue and killed its creators. The swarm has settled on the moon and feeds off the energy of a white dwarf in the core. The moon is shifted out of orbit because of the destabilization of its internal structure. I don't know how science works, but that's just it. However, the OS provides hope by informing Brian that the AI can be defeated, but a human has to stay behind to accomplish it. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Sonny, Michelle, and Jimmy team up with Tom and his family to evacuate from the impending disaster. However, they encounter some thieves who try to rob them. Yep, but Sonny and Tom hold them off with guns. Bang! The chase is on as the thieves pursue them, and the moon causes another gravitational shift, causing chunks of the Earth to break off from the ground. The leader of the thieves is crushed by debris, and the remaining two aren't faring any better as they crash their car against a chunk of mass. Looks like Sonny's driving skills save the day again as he manages to drive off a ramp to safety. But wait, there's more. Just when you thought things didn't get any crazier, the President of the United States decides to launch nukes at the moon. Yes, you heard that right. The moon. Because apparently that's the solution to all their problems. Good thing Sonny, Tom, and the gang have some oxygen masks handy because the air is starting to thin. They make their way to a cave for safety, but Nikki's oxygen runs low. Tom, being the hero that he is, gives her his tank and starts to lose his breath. He tells Nikki to keep walking before he dies. Talk about sacrifice. Nikki reaches her family and the oxygen starts to come back, but Sonny and Michelle attempt to find Tom. Unfortunately, Sonny gets taken down by a falling tree that pins him down. Ouch, that's gotta hurt. Meanwhile, on the moon, the trio makes one last attempt to get the bomb to the swarm. Doug holds his colleagues at gunpoint because he believes Joe can still save them. Hey, desperate times call for desperate measures, right? So, our heroes right here are closing in on the bomb. Brian, being the noble guy that he is, decides to sacrifice himself to deliver the bomb, but before he can even say his goodbyes, Casey steps up and takes his place. Talk about a plot twist. Casey's reasoning is that Brian and Joe have families to go back to while he's just been coasting through life. Finally, it's a chance to do something worthwhile. And just like that, Brian and Joe bid him farewell, leaving Casey alone with the bomb. The swarm is closing in on him, but Casey remains calm and collected. He is a man on a mission and nothing's gonna stop him now. With a heavy heart, he detonates the bomb, destroying the swarm and sending the moon back to its rightful place. Meanwhile, Brian and Joe are close enough to Earth to fly out on a pod. They finally make it back to their families, safe and sound, but as it turns out, they're not the only ones with stories to tell. Brian learns of Tom's fate and tells Brenda that he was a great man, and he makes sure to let Sonny know that it was Casey who saved the world. Back on the moon, Casey's consciousness is uploaded to the base. He is greeted by the operating system, who takes the form of his mother. Casey's told that they are about to embark on something big. What could it be? Only time will tell. But with Casey leading the charge, you can bet it's gonna be one heck of a ride. And so, this was the story of Moonfall. See you in the next hunt.